Team, you may start now.
There are no passengers on Spaceship Earth. We are all crew. Such a strong and compelling statement is a huge indication that we need to foster greater collaboration among stakeholders. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for attending our presentation today. We are Team Nexus. My name is Robin. That is Michelle. That is Francisca. We are here today to drive the green car forward with you, with Freight Asia. So what's going on with GFA today? First of all, congratulations. With your recent incorporation, you now have 9 committed members. You now have 9 committed members, and you look to extend this new goal to include 200 new members spanning across 10 countries. So this is where we come in. We propose an innovative business and IT solution to create value for all your members. But here's the problem. You face mad issues. But with Team Nexus, we propose a car strategy to mitigate these issues. So in acknowledgement of the competitive dynamics of the logistics industry, we recommend and propose that you, GFA, adopt the customer intimacy strategy. What this helps you do is tailor products and focus recommendations to all your stakeholders. This is important to create value for all potential members, as well as have higher membership rates. But then again, look at the stakeholder map. The traditional approach is we have shippers, we have freight carriers. We have to acknowledge that 80% of the business being outsourced to subcontractors. Therefore, the 2B model, we need to include subcontractors as a major stakeholder in the business line. But here's the problem. Mad challenges. Mad challenges. What is M? We talk about proposing an innovative business IT solution. A, we talk about acquiring new members. And finally, we need to deliver value to all these members. And how do we do it? This is where Nexus come in. The car strategy. We need to capture data from relevant sources. We need to analyze the data and form meaningful insights. And finally, we need to respond proactively with predictive analytics.
So let's go into the solutions. Starting at the top of the value chain, we have shippers and freight carriers. So what we want to offer our members is firstly, a corporate account, where you have a unique login and we can collect the data. GFA will be collecting this data and analyzing it for them. Thereafter, we have a green directory. We refer this to providers based on the ranking on their green leaf rating. So, for example, you have a provider shipper, Infineon, who will be looking for a green partner with them. So this directory will go to facilitate that. And lastly, we want an interactive heat map that will help facilitate looking at your value chain and understanding which parts are less green than others. So how does this facilitate the whole interaction of all your members? Let's start with the carriers. For example, your DHL and UPSs. They will be reporting via our unique login, and thereafter they might be procuring and investing into a more green feed. This will feed directly into the shipper performance reporting. They'll also report via our website, and next there will be the heat map that helps them track this value chain. And lastly, carrier selection. They'll be looking at the provider list and maybe upgrading to more green carriers. So the value here is salient, starting with corporate citizenship branding. It's increasingly important, and we want our members to have that. Secondly, we want reporting green initiatives to stakeholders to be facilitated. And lastly, we want proactive tracking of their value chain. Moving to the next stakeholder, the freight carriers. We have a corporate account, and these are the guys who are operating on the ground, DHLs and UPSs. And we want them to be enabled and empowered with this analytics dashboard. So they'll be tracking important metrics such as CO2 emissions, fuel efficiency, and even operating expenses. And with this, they can toggle on this analytics dashboard to optimize the supply chain. So the value here is clear. With green CSR, you'll be able to earn more green leaf ratings and bump them up and hopefully earn more contracts on our directory. And next, fuel efficiency, which will realize cost benefits. The next interesting stakeholder will be the subcontractors. We understand that there might be financial constraints here, but we don't want that to be an inhibiting factor. Rather, we want to leverage on their existing mobile network and empower them with a simple login, useful data visualization, and motivational aspect, which is a more fun way to engage with them. How this will look like is, for example, we have Abu here, who's a driver in Indonesia. We want him to share and care and share about this model. So we want to grant him points based on savings, and rather than telling him, hey, you save a barrel of oil, why not tell him that you save enough energy to power maybe bundle for 1 hour? That will be more relatable and personal to him. Thereafter, he'll be sharing this program via our Teach a Friend program, and he'll earn referral points and accumulate these points to redeem for vouchers and maybe industry reports. So the value here is clear again, more contracts in terms of top-line growth and realizing OPEX savings.
To support this initiative, we propose the following IT architecture. We added in a security layer with SSL to make sure the data is well protected from external attack. We also top it up with load balancing in case that more with your increased member and the and the usage of the applications. At the end of the day, we will store all the data in the data layer. Gartner has identified 4 types of analytics. Currently, we are focusing on the descriptive analytics on the historical data. But what we can do further to do the predictive analytics on what should I do to make sure that I am better than my competitors in terms of green initiatives. Hence, we propose the following data warehouse architecture, where data will be extracted, transformed, and loaded to the data warehouse. The key feature of data warehouse is the ability to have a data mart where we can further compare with data issues such as which data can the user see specifically. At the end of the day, users will be able to analyze, report, and mine this data.
So leveraging on the IT architecture, we wanted to marry it into the business model. So if you remember the car strategy, capturing, analyzing, and thereafter responding, this ties in very closely with descriptive, predictive, and lastly prescriptive analytics across our stakeholder map. So what we currently have is GFA has a membership fee of $0 to $10,000, which is very affordable by the way, and it brings them up to the predictive analytics stage, which is the what-if analysis. We can be toggling on this dashboard to understand how to optimize the supply chain. But why not take it a step further and empower our members with prescriptive analytics? We're mining this wealth of data. We want to leverage off that and provide them with industry analysis reports as well as peer cuts, where they can pick maybe 5 to 7 comparable companies and benchmark against them. This will provide GFA with an additional revenue stream. So what you have seen so far is the value that GFA provides to its members. But in the larger scope of things, we must understand that GFA must have a robust process to onboard and retain the members. So we have 3 phases: the pre-member phase, checks, and the post. GFA must set standards, very strict standards, and implement the system with the partnering of Nexus. Thereafter, you can onboard the members, collect the data, verify via sanity checks in our data warehouse, and lastly, store this data for easy access. Storing it for easy access will allow us to run audits and certification. So what do I mean by this? You have GFA on one hand, and you have the members on the other. So the members will go through auditing to make sure that they are complying to our strict regulations, and in return, GFA will grant them access of this logo for free, because we want our members to be sharing this green leaf label with the world. Lastly, we have compliance. The top 5 to 10% elite and any anomaly companies will be subject to compliance because we want this ecosystem to be kept clean. So this entire strategy ties back to what the green card is.
As always, there's bound to be risks. We would like to highlight perhaps the major risks. With our sophisticated solution, what happens if our stakeholders refuse to adopt it, don't know how to adopt it? And we mitigate this by proposing a training program to our stakeholders. And as always, to ensure the successful implementation of our project, we have a timeline. We adopted the software development lifecycle, which means we start with requirements gathering, and it will be an ongoing process all the way to testing and final product development at the beginning of Q1. And change management is, of course, an ongoing intrinsic process.
So GFA and Nexus can partner in a win-win partnership. And this structure will be very clean. We do not require any upfront fees because we understand that GFA is non-profit and money cash strapped. But rather, we want our success to be intertwined with your success, and we want skin in the game through royalty structure. So you'll notice in our further analyses that as your revenues increase, our royalty fees actually decrease. So the expected revenue of this will be in the region of 1.7 million and net income of 1.2 million after hiring dedicated staff for the team. On Nexus' side, we'll be developing the IT solution with a team of a data analyst, a software engineer, and a solution architect, and we could possibly outsource the less strategic aspects to a web UI developer. So what you have seen today are the math challenges. But don't worry, it won't drive you mad just yet, because Nexus is committed to this vision of educating and facilitating industry partners to adopting green practices. And what we bring to the table is an innovative business model where we partner via this royalty-based structure, a holistic IT solution, and a committed and capable team. And with that, we hope to drive the green car forward with GFA. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Judges, any questions?
referring to the business side of it or the IT that's supporting this? Okay, so what we want to do is to enable our stakeholders, for example, the freight carriers, the DHL and UPS, to look at the APAC region and understand, because once we set up this ecosystem, we'll be able to track the downstream and upstream supply chain. And via that, with our green leaf rating, we'll know the aggregated greenness of the entire supply chain. So what we want is an interactive heat map where maybe UPS or DHL can hover over Indonesia. And with that, it will be an aggregated score of the entire supply chain, and they will know how green they are. And they can hover maybe over South Korea and understand how green that is compared to Indonesia. And thereafter, they can tweak accordingly by going to our green directory and picking more green providers if they want to up the greenness. Well, it will be updated as the stakeholders upload the data. So it will be live because as they upload the data, it will be updated on the so we want it as responsive as possible.
What's the recommendation on how we should roll this out from a geographical perspective?
Great question. So if we direct you to our rollout strategy, we have actually staged it into different phases. And why we have broken it into these countries is because so we based it on certain matrices. Firstly, we want to look at the transport CO2 emissions. What I mean by this is road transport CO2 emissions. We looked at how many times they are actually churning up, because that is the core of what GFA stands for. Next, we look at the IT infrastructure. We want to be aware of the languages and asking how big is this road transport market. So the first criteria they want to target is these huge markets such as China, Japan, Indonesia, and South Korea. So that will be stage one. And the KPIs will likely be adoption rate. We want to see how fast our downstream suppliers are actually picking this up. Thereafter, you can go on to stage two, which are actually detailed in there.
How would we support this language-wise? I mean, maybe we have different language versions of this application, but there are people asking questions. How do we support this? I'm a one-man organization. I don't speak 10 languages, unfortunately. So how will this work?
Okay, so in terms of languages, we talk about system at the system level, correct? So at the system level, we go ahead.
No, not on the system level, on the support level. So there are people asking questions about how to enter information and how this is going to work. And they want to have human interaction, I guess.
So we have addressed the system, but to address your point of managing the stakeholders, maybe on the phone. Yes. So what we want to do is roll this out via a hub and spoke model. So English will be the lingua franca, and that will be one of the main languages, as well as Indonesian, Bahasa Indonesia, Japan, and Mandarin. But to address that, we want to go via a hub and spoke model and maybe target the more metropolitan cities in the first stage countries. So these countries and these partners will be more likely to be able to converse with us in their languages, because this is the hub and spoke model. And then thereafter, it will be branching out to maybe Bandung or Banten, which will be more likely to be speaking Bahasa Indonesia, but that will go on to the next phases where the team will likely be much bigger and much more well supported.
Your solution is delivering more on the mobile and what about those countries that have very, which are less developed than our countries?
So why we picked this hub and spoke model is because we knew that the IT infrastructure would be actually would be stronger there, more present in these areas. So for example, the Jakartas, the Kuala Lumpurs, these will be more established as compared to maybe Banten or Bandung. So we want to target those areas first and leverage on the mobile infrastructure, rather than trying to go for a shotgun approach and try to conquer the entire Indonesia. Because rolling out to the more rural areas will be really tricky. So we want to target the more metropolitan areas first, go for quick wins rather than trying to gun for a huge win. I would say that going for those quick wins and small wins will be more critical.
I like the idea of you guys carrying out the subcontractors or fourth parties. Subcontractors are those which I think they are mercenaries itself. The dollar is the dollar itself. So how are you going to manage these two guys which is
Managing the pool of subcontractors. So why we pick maybe I can explain to you why we pick subcontractors.
So you guys carry out very nicely until the subcontractors, because usually people use it as the consumer and stuff.
Right. So maybe we can explain to you this.
And how are they going to get
So why, okay, maybe I can explain to you the rationale of why we pick subcontractors and how we can manage them. So why we pick a subcontractor is because we know that there are 500,000 trucking companies in impact, and 0.1% of them are actually have more than 100 trucks. So this accounts for 50,000 trucks. So targeting these 500 companies will be 50,000 trucks. And how we want to manage that is, these people are getting business, like you say mercenaries, but they get business from the bigger players such as UPS and DHL. And we understand from Mr. Shabinsky that next week we actually have a meeting with Expeditors, Panalpina, UPS, FedEx, DHL. So all the big boys are coming together. And with this concerted effort on the GFA membership, we can actually put pressure on the subcontractors. So it's a reality that they are mercenaries, but they are mercenaries who are feeding themselves via DHL and UPS's money. So when pressure comes from them, they will actually have to change. But we are not pressuring them fully because we're actually helping them and working alongside them with our training conference that we put in our timeline.
You mentioned using Google Epic Biz, where you're back in the piece. Can you explain to me why you decided that choice?
So first of all, Google App Engine is a cloud-based solution. We acknowledge that our solution has to be as cost-effective as possible. So we decide to move the hosting to cloud. Why is it more cost-effective? First of all, you don't have to pay for server hosting. Second solution, why? Scalability. You don't have to But second of all, we have some really interesting case studies. Ubisoft, they have 2, 3 million, even 10 million users using their applications, their game application. It's all hosted on Google App Engine. On the data analytics side, we have Terraclicks, the data analytics company. They use big data, and they rely wholly on Google App Engine. And the third case study we have is Mac Office. They use Google App Engine for instance scalability. So based on these three key case studies for ecologists, this provides a compelling reason for us to use Google App Engine.
Okay, thank you, Team Nexus.